How to Cite, APA 7th edition. This video outlines how you can create in-text citations for direct quotes. In the course of writing a paper, you may use direct quotes from a variety of sources. This might include traditional sources such as books or journal articles or even newspapers, but it might also include TV shows, film, songs, tables, figures, and even PowerPoint slides. Each of these require specific locations in addition to the author's last name and year of publication. The question is, how do you cite these? The answer is a little complicated because each different kind of source requires a different citation. So we're going to outline how you can create citations including page numbers, paragraph numbers, chapters, tables, figures, slides, and timestamps. In most cases, you simply include the page number or numbers after the year of publication. For example, let's say you've taken a direct quote from Stephen Colbert's monograph, America Again, Rebecoming the Greatness We Never Weren't. The quote might look like this: America's founding fathers didn't have onerous regulations. They did what they pleased until they died from eating tainted meat at age 32. Colbert, 2020, P period 29. And this is how the citation will look if you're quoting a page number. If the quote bridges over 2 pages, you will include both page numbers. To do this, you'll introduce them with PP period, 1P for each page. Then you will likewise link the page numbers with a dash. But what about online sources that don't even have pages? How do we create citations for them when we're using a direct quote? In the case of online sources that don't have page numbers, you'll simply put the number of the paragraph from which you took the quote. Here we have an example. According to The Onion, 2020, Lakers fan Derek Wainwright expressed frustration Thursday that he was being forced to recognize basketball players' humanity in any way. You will introduce the paragraph number with the abbreviation para. Here we have para period 1 rather than P period 1. Para, of course, being an abbreviation for the word paragraph. If the quote begins in one paragraph and ends in another, both paragraph numbers will be included. In this case, you will add an S to para, and like the page number, you will link the paragraph numbers with a dash. Special note: if an online source provides chapter numbers, you should provide a chapter number instead of a paragraph number. If you are accessing an online version of a book that only offers chapter numbers, provide that. Let's assume, for example, that you got a copy of Frantz Fanon's seminal work, The Wretched of the Earth, through a website like Gutenberg Project. The quote might look like this. Fanon, 1963, argues that naked violence only gives when confronted with greater violence. We'll then provide a chapter number. The word chapter will be capitalized and will not be abbreviated. Here we have chapter 1. Tables do not constitute a paragraph, but nor are they part of a paragraph. Thus, if you use a direct quote from a table, you will provide the table number. Here we have Colbert 2020 suggests that 2 out of every 5 readers will feel as though they have absorbed actual facts despite being given a placebo sidebar completely devoid of information. Here you'll notice we have table 1. The word table will be capitalized, and like the chapter number, it will not be abbreviated. If this is how we create an in-text citation for a table, how do we create in-text citations for figures? The answer? It's a little disappointing. APA 7th edition does not actually provide instruction on how to create a citation for a quote from a figure. However, following the template that they provide for a table seems like the logical option. Let's see how that might look. Let's assume that we're creating an in-text citation for a quote pulled from an illustration. If you have a direct quote from a figure and you decide to follow the same format used for the table, you'll simply provide the figure number. Here we have Noth, parentheses, no date, illustrates humanity's lack of empathy by observing that nobody ever asks, "How's Waldo?" In this case, the word figure would be capitalized and it would not be abbreviated if we're using the template used for a table. But keep in mind, this is not expressly prescribed by APA. They do not have instruction on how to create a citation for a quote from a figure. Students often rely on their instructor's PowerPoint slides for information when writing a paper. This technically requires a citation. But what if you're quoting a slide? In this case, we will simply provide the slide number in place of a page number. Here we have Ali 2021 states that there is, quote, a fine line between a numerator and a denominator, but only a fraction of people know this, parentheses, slide 3. Keep in mind, the word slide, like table or chapter, will be capitalized and will not be abbreviated. What about other media sources? When quoting video or audio recordings, you must provide a timestamp. This might include movies, TV shows, audiobooks, or music. For example, if you're quoting a song from the band Blackpink, you'll simply provide the second where the quote begins in the audio file in place of the page number. Here we have, when one hits rock bottom, they should, quote, grab onto the last bit of hope and reach out with both hands, end quote. Blackpink, 2020, 12 seconds. Special note. APA only requires the second at which the quote begins. This means that you do not have to put a range of time at which the quote begins and closes, just the initial second. In addition, the timestamp should reflect the length of the video. That means if the video is under an hour, you only need numerals for the minutes and seconds, as opposed to a video that is over an hour in which you need numerical spaces for the hour, minute, and seconds. Now you know how to create an in-text citation in accordance with APA for a direct quote, whether that quote comes from a book or journal that has a conventional page number or other media sources. However, should you have any other questions about APA setting and referencing, any other referencing styles, or writing in general, do not hesitate to book an appointment with the Writing Support Desk through My Success. Keep in mind, it's important to book early because our spots do fill up quickly. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.